Ladies and gentlemen, this is Under Review Playoff Edition, the most controversial show in the Major Arena Soccer League. My name is Phil Lavanco. That is the head of officials for the MASL, Ryan Cigich. And Ryan, we have a special guest on the hot seat with us, St. Louis Ambush star Lucas Almeida. Lucas, thank you for joining us on Under Review.
Thank you guys, Phil. Thank you, Phil and Ryan, for having me.
So I want to ask you before we begin if there's any calls that Ryan made against the Ambush this year that you're still mad at.
That's probably 120 of them, but I'll let it go for today. I don't want to call him out.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I get called out enough.
Our first play in Monterey, Wave vs. Flash Game 2. And this is a fun one here. A review for possible handball and what would be a penalty shot for Milwaukee. It goes to review and no handball is given. Ryan, this is a hard one because it's close to the body, but would you say we've got a natural position?
Oh, Phil, we got to have more handballs here, don't we? Number 14, his right arm is tucked into his body. And, I think the ball hits him in his stomach midsection area, but his left arm is tucked in. So I don't see this as a handball. I think this is a good no call.
I'm going to have to agree with Ryan on this one, even though I don't like to agree with him. It touched the body first to me, and I don't think it would affect much. He's going the other way, so I would have to agree with him on this one.
So, Ryan, we're going to jump back to Game 1 now because we have a similar play from the game in Milwaukee. Andre Hayne, and in my opinion, I think this is a fairly straightforward handball call. Ryan, what do you think here?
Yeah, it's a tough call in the sense that, as a referee, you don't want to have to make this call, especially at this point in the game, but you have to be ready to and willing to. And unfortunately, Andre's right arm is extended and it stops the shot on goal and it's inside the penalty area. So as a referee, you really don't have any other option. This has to be a penalty kick and a 2 minutes blue card.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that one. Andre makes himself pretty big to make the block and unfortunately hits his hand and it's completely extended. For me, it's also a penalty kick.
All right, Lucas, you're agreeing with Ryan just a little bit too much here. Let's see if we can have some disagreement on this second quarter play between Walter Aovi and Nunez of the Milwaukee Wave. They're battling for the ball. Nunez makes contact with his face, but after review, there's no blue card. What do you think, Lucas? You think Ryan got this one right?
It's tough to say, Phil, and I'm going to have to disagree with Ryan on this one. Not because I think it's a blue, but because later on we're going to see it that for me it's a similar one. And one is called one way and the other is called the other way. We either call contact to the head of blue. I don't think both of them were on purpose. I don't think both of them had enough force. So I would prefer both of them not being a blue as a player. But if you're going to give it to one, I think you have to give it to both. That's my opinion.
Yeah, what do you say? No blue then, huh?
No blue in my opinion, but also the following one, I'm already going to give it away. But I would like to be consistent on that one too.
Okay, all right. So here I see, we got both players, going to the ball. Number 29, his right arm comes up just a little bit, but I don't see any swing. I see no swing of the ball. I just see him running, and I don't see an elbow here. I see the arm. So, for me, I'm going to stand with it. I think it's more incidental contact, and I still support this one as foul only, but no blue card.
Okay, Ryan, here's the other play Lucas was mentioning beforehand. Defend yourself on this one, why this was a blue.
So, Lucas, Phil, compared to the first one that we just saw, in my opinion, I see this one, Walter's arm is higher than in the first clip. And then I also see a swinging because when you run, I don't think you run with your arm that high up. And there's just a little bit more force here to me. And also, you wouldn't see this in the clip, but this one causes blood. So the player's bleeding, and I think that is a factor as well. So I'm going to stick with this one. This is a blue card, 2 minute penalty.
Luke, is that a good enough explanation for you?
Yeah, I still going to hold my stand here, Phil. I think both plays, they're both swimming, if you call that. They're fighting for a spot. They're trying to get advantage on the ball. They're trying to shield the ball and protect the ball. Yes, his arm is a little higher than the other one, but I don't see him trying to elbow somebody on the face. I do see him trying to protect the ball, and he does get his face. So either for me, both are blue or both are no blue. I'm okay with either way of those, but it has to be, in my opinion, consistent is the biggest thing.
One more from this series. Ian Bennett and Alvaro Bocanegra fight for the ball around the boards. Bennett makes contact with the boards, and we're off to review. Now, the Wave broadcasts are definitely fans of Under Review, as they note player safety around the boards is very critical. So, Lucas, I'm going to go to you first and ask you, they did go to review and no blue card was given. Do you agree with the decision?
Yes, I'm gonna have to agree with that one. I know it's a little close to the board, and you have to be a little more careful. But you can tell that the Monterrey player kind of pulled off the last second, realizing what was about to happen. Definitely a foul. Don't think it's a blue. I think that was the right call.
Yeah, I still agree with this one. I think you're spot on, with that. It's a push in the back, but it's further away from the boards. We can't really tell from this camera angle, but in order to have boarding, you need to be propelled is the key word that's in the rules, propelled into the boards, and I don't see this as boarding.
A trio of plays from the Comets Utica Game 1, second quarter in Kansas City. Isak Somo is given a blue card for kicking on the live call. Now, the play goes to review, and it is determined by the referees that both Somo and Michael Lennis are going to get a blue card. Ryan, I've got two questions for you here. The first one is, how the heck is that possible? The second one is, do you agree with the decisions?
Well, everybody, let's just remember that once something goes to video review, anything that is visible is opened up to have a call be made or not made on it. So nothing wrong with that. And as you stated, the initial blue was given to Utica 14. And, I think that call in and of itself is just a little bit harsh because I don't see a lot of force into that contact. It's not overly severe, in my opinion. And as Phil, you asked me last week about playoffs, I just think the power plays need to be 100% accurate. So when Utica challenges this, it opens up everything. And I actually like the outcome here of what the referees did. I think a 4v4 in this situation is the good call because, number 14 does come in after a retaliation by that initial charge there by Kansas City. So I actually like this call.
All right, Ryan. I hear you, but I'm gonna have to disagree with you. Here's my line of thought. Why is the first check not called as a foul, and then it stops everything from happening? Stop the retaliation and the trip and whatever else. Once he allowed the first check goes, I feel like the player from Utica had the right to get a little more physical, and I don't think it was forced for anything. Little push, a little trip. So I would like to see the first foul being called so he avoids the retaliation. But after all, I guess the two blue cards is somewhat even up the playing field.
So you would rather see no blues against either player, you're saying?
I would like to see the foul on the first check and then move on, yes.
Comets are challenging this no call in the third quarter on Andrew Coughlin. After review, it is determined to be a handball and a shootout. Lucas, I think, in my opinion here, the refs got the call right. But what do you think? Do you think the refs got this one correct?
Yeah, after watching in slow motion, I would agree. I think Coughlin comes out, he tries to recluse his arm and pull it back, but it does hit his elbow, and I think that's a blue card and that's a shootout.
Yeah, good point that you made there. That's what I was going to point out too, is it's really tough to catch this if you're just looking at it one time in real speed, but the elbow that comes out from Coughlin's left elbow there is what makes this handball for me, and it stops a promising attack. Therefore, it must be a blue card and a shootout.
Ryan, last round of handball roulette. This potential game winner from Christian Andreas goes to review and is deemed a handball. In my opinion, I see a handball here, but no one actually cares about my opinion. Ryan, what do you see on this play?
Well, I always care about you, Phil, so I want to say that. But let's talk about the handball. The considerations for handball that we typically talk about, so making yourself bigger, hand away from your body, making a barrier, all those things go out the window when we're talking about attacker handball. So what the rule is there, any contact with the attacker's hand, even if it's accidental, and even if their arm is in their body, any contact by the attacker in the goal scored, that's disallowed. This is a very difficult call. It's controversial, but because the referee they're closest to play, Shane Butler, he's looking into Andreas' back. So he really can't tell. And as a referee, like if we don't know 100%, we're not going to call it. So the call on the field is a good goal. This play is under 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, so the referees are permitted to go to video review on their own. So now the question becomes, is the video evidence here clear enough to change the call and take the goal away? I think that's where the controversy comes in. I could debate this either way. At the end of the day, I believe there was accidental contact with the ball and Andreas' arm.
Here's my point to you, Ryan. You meaning it has to be clear that it happened to overturn, but you also said you can argue both ways. So if we can argue both ways, it's not clear enough, in my opinion. And as much as it pains me to say, I think the decision was wrong. Keep the decision on the field is the goal, and move on.
Okay, that's valid, but you're not saying you don't think it's handball, though.
I don't think it's clear enough to tell. That's what I'm saying, and I'm glad that I'm not the ref making that call right then. But if you go with the goal, stick to it.
One last play from this rather lengthy episode of Under Review. Stefan Mijatovic in the knockout game down at Corner Sport Arena invokes Nigel de Jong and the FIFA 2010 World Cup. It was originally called a blue card, goes to video review after Tacoma challenges the play, but the referees stick to their decision on the field. Lucas, do you agree with the blue card decision?
Yes, Phil, I'll have to agree. There's contact, a pretty high kick. I think it is a blue. My question would be, is it a shootout? Is it a not? I see that the ball is going to a corner, no possession, but does the excessive force or anything like that makes it for a shootout or play on and just a free kick? But that would be a Ryan question.
Well, I agree with you on the shootout. I would just ask you, I mean, is this more than a blue? You said excessive force. That in referee language means red card. And I mean, is there any reason why a player's foot should ever be this high? I think there is some exaggeration there by Chihuahua making it look worse than it is. But I mean, for me, I think this is a major at least.
What do you think, Lucas? You have a major?
I can see that major too. I don't think Steph meant it. I think he went for the ball, but yeah, he was too late and got the Chihuahua player pretty good.
That's it for the first playoff edition of Under Review. Thank you, Lucas, for joining us on this first episode. Ryan, you think Lucas has a future in refereeing?
Well, wow, that's a tough question. I mean, he continues to disagree with me, but that's okay. But yeah, come on over to the dark side. We'll take you in.
I will leave that up to them, Phil. Thanks for having me. I will say this: I do have my referee licensing, and I choose not to do so. So I'll stay that way.
Lucas saying on the good side of the force. For Ryan Cigich and Lucas Almeida, this is Phil Lavanco. We will see you next time on Under Review.